Peace. This is Ashun Tola, the Enchantress of the Enchanted Life. Today I will be discussing the Etheric Touch, what it is, just the general questions that people have been asking about what the Etheric Touch has entailed. I am sitting here with Ifa Kunle. He will be interviewing me today.
Okay, yes. But first, I got to start it off like this every time. Let you know how beautiful you are on the other side of this camera.
Thank you.
You are beautiful.
You look good on the other side of the camera, too.
I appreciate it. Okay, so, we're going to begin. I'm going to ask you just to explain a little bit about how the Etheric Touch came about for you.
The Etheric Touch is a correlation of the systems that I have encountered and learned and been certified in over the course of the last 10 to 12 years. The Etheric Touch started as, for me, it started as life being one way and then changing into a completely different way. It was transformed from being a really mundane way of living to a very magical way of living. And so when I think about the enchanted life, I think about the Etheric Touch being its foundation. It's what has been brought into my life to allow me to have access to the magic that is all around.
So, like, the Etheric Touch is a combination of the different healing systems that you have learned over the last 12 years that have been incorporated into one way?
Yes, absolutely. So over the last 12 years, there's been many different modalities. I look at the Etheric Touch as being a holistic healing system. It's a way of life. It's a lifestyle. And so all these different modalities and all these ancient indigenous techniques that I have learned about over the course of the last 12 years, we have implemented into our family living and into our lifestyle. And so what we are offering is this healing art, this healing practice, a way of life that will empower you and heal all those around you.
Yes, and
or has the ability, I should say, to heal all those around you.
Okay, well, like from my own experience with the Etheric Touch and just remembering, because I had the honor to be there whenever you first, stepped into this new way of living, like when you began to learn, because you started off with learning Reiki.
Yes.
And I was there with you that first night that you was introduced to Reiki. It was our first dates.
It was.
Yeah, so, but just watching you, being on this journey with you, like all the things that, like you learned, like we learned these things together, like, and I remember you being extremely connected with Reiki after your first session that was given to you.
I was.
Like I could tell, like it was a whole nother world that was opened up to you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like one day, like you said, things was one way, and the next day, it was just magic all around you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And just remembering how connected you were to the system of Reiki, because I know that was the first healing system that you learned. Like we actually learned that together.
Yes.
So could you explain a little bit of how Reiki and Etheric Touch are similar or are different? Like how would you explain? Like
sure.
Okay.
Okay. So, absolutely correct. Our official first date was one that was filled with magic. I recall walking into this home and there's the shadows of deities dancing on the wall, and it was very mystical walking into the home. It was very magical walking in. I remember feeling nervous but intrigued. And so I come into this home and there's a group of people there, and you guys started off the night with meditation. It was the first time I had did meditation. But even in doing meditation, the stillness that came from it, the relaxation, the peace that came from it right away. The Reiki session, well, there was two things now, looking hindsight being 2020, of course, that I look at as being influential in my exploration of Reiki. The first thing was, of course, the session that I got that night. But the most influential part was the time that we spent together. During that time, I had just recently gone through a separation, and I felt really disconnected from love. I didn't want to hear about it. I wasn't looking for it. I don't even think fully that I believed in it. And then you rubbed your hands together and you placed them on my heart. And the feeling that I have, I remember still to this day. It felt like this golden light or liquid just filled my entire heart space and healed my heart and mended it to the point where you could see the gold light melding the shattered pieces back together again.
So you saying I did that?
You did it.
Okay.
You did it.
Okay.
And then the second part was the actual session with the brother at the in the group.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, at first when I saw it, it looked really peculiar to me because he was actually working on you.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought out this huge 8-pound crystal quartz crystal skull,
Mm-hmm.
and he gave it to you. And I'm like, what is he doing? And what intrigued me was that he was doing all these things around you, I could tell that you were feeling them by your movements. You know what I'm saying? But he wasn't touching you in any way.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't touching you in any way. He was just moving around you. And I was like, what is he doing? You know, what is this about? So after he finished with you, he asked if I wanted one. And I was hesitant at first, but I got in the chair because I'm not a punk or whatever. And he worked on me. During the time that he worked on me, I remember, again, a great sense of peace. I remember feeling very light. I remember any thoughts that was flowing through my mind being completely removed and just feeling like in the presence of God.
Yeah.
After that session took place and we went outside the next morning, everything had changed around me. From things just being regular, mundane living to being able to see stardust energy in the sky, being able to see waves of energy in the atmosphere, being able to see portals opening up and closing, like all these things just came to life. And so that was my first taste of the enchanted life.
No, like the next day it was like you was literally in a wonderland.
Yes, it was a wonderland.
Like your eyes was open, or your eyes.
It was like the veil had been removed. And so that was my first experience with Reiki. And I wanted to know what that was. I wanted to know how he did those things, how you did those things, and how he did these things. How did he make something that was completely ordinary one day be completely extraordinary the next day? For me, that was the beginning of that was the beginning stages of the etheric touch.
Mm-hmm.
For me, every time I've seen Reiki being done, it has been really ritualistic in nature. For me, as it's been practiced on me, as well as the sessions that I've given other people. And I didn't realize until probably a few years ago that the way I do my sessions are completely different than what you get at your traditional settings.
Okay. Well, let me just say, like, you know, like me having the honor of like being by your side from that night to where you are now, and being a witness of like the different healing that you have been through, you know what I mean, the different ways that you have learned to heal, and just watching you grow, because like I say, like from the beginning, like you was very attached to this healing system.
I was.
You went full steam ahead with it, like learning all that you could learn, and then, you know, beginning to practice on others, yourself, and just seeing you grow, you know what I mean, to where you are at now, and the different ways that you go about like your healing session, as it entails the different things that you have learned over the years, because the etheric touch is not exactly what Reiki is, even though you had your foundation of that, you know what I mean, and me being a recipient of like all the things that you have learned over these years, like when you perform Reiki on me, you know what I mean, not Reiki, but the etheric touch, like what Reiki for you has evolved into. Yes. So could you explain a little bit about then and now, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Yes.
So like I said, for me, in my experience, the people who I have worked with and the people who have worked with me, mm-hmm. go about practicing healing work completely differently than just Reiki. Reiki is really about energy work. Mm-hmm. It's really about being able to be a conduit of energy work, and use that energy to work on other people. That's really the foundation of what energy Reiki is. Yes, there's symbols attached to it and things of that nature, but traditionally it's very uniform. You know, it's just about hand placements here, knowing where the chakras are, things of that nature. As time has developed, like I said, it was always different for me. So one of the very foundational points of it for me has been the calling of the ancestors in. The acknowledgement of them, their presence being felt, was really one of the foundational things. Another thing, as time has progressed, what I have come to learn is that I don't really need to just stand over you with my hands to help you to heal. Yes, some of it is used with the hands, but some of it is about being able to tap into the different elements, the different sources around you in order to promote healing. So, you know, there was times that I would be outside in nature and be using trees and the ground, you know, to incorporate healing for people or for myself. There has been ways that I've been able to generate energy or pull the energy from the earth into myself and then use that energy to heal other people. And truthfully, I use all kinds of different techniques that I've used over the course of the last 10 years, that I've developed over the last 10 years in my practices. So, you know, sometimes that depending on the clients that I deal with, that may incorporate divination. That could incorporate meditation. It can incorporate sound harmonics, you know, crystal bowls playing, Qigong, like tuning forks. You know, there's so many different modalities that.
It's an intuitive type thing now. Like, you got to a place that I know, like, to where, like, you have learned so many things over your journey. You know what I mean? So it's like you incorporate all of these things intuitively. Like, you flow according to what you know is needed. And like in that moment, so it's not a uniform thing.
It's not. One of the foundational things for me, one of the things that was most important for me about the Etheric Touch was that it was not routine, was that it was not uniform. It was an incorporation of many different healing techniques and modalities that you intuitively, because you're practicing on yourself, all these different modalities, all these different healing techniques, all these different methods. What happens is, over the course of time, it becomes part of you. And then when you're working with other people, you intuitively pick up what it is that they need for their healing. And so those different aspects, those different variations or methods or techniques, these ancient practices that I have developed and learned over the course of the last 10 years, when I work on a client, I can use any one of these practices to help them to facilitate their healing. And so it's really about it's very intuitive in its nature. It's very intuitive in a daily practice type of routine type of way, but there's also very intuitive for the customization of a healing session for a client. And each of my clients gets something completely different from me. So each client experiences something completely different, completely unique, and something that's just for them, you know, something that they can take away just for themselves.
Okay. And so what you're saying in a nutshell is like you intuitively, so it's more than the client just laying on a bed. Like, it might be a journey that you have to take with the client before they even get to the bed, like before the healing ceremony even begins.
Exactly. Okay. Sometimes it could look like a complete night of meditation. Sometimes it could be a complete night of sound harmonics. And when I say that, it could be a complete crystal bowl session for the client. It could be just, you know, going through certain vibrations to help elevate their chi or their